Good afternoon, it's Jim from the Mavestar Observatory. I was just downloading the latest data on the World Magnetic Model. If you weren't aware, it was updated on the 10th, or released on the 10th of December this month. And it could only happen to me. Obviously, you can see what I've downloaded. I've downloaded the software and both these maps, one with the blackout zones, one without the blackout zones. And yes, as you can believe, it would happen to me, wouldn't it? I spotted something, and I think you'll be interested in this. But before we get into it, big thanks to those few people that are supporting us and our efforts here at the observatory during one of the worst times of the year. And if you want to help, there's a link down there you can do in the description. So let's get on with it. So I downloaded these maps. I started to go through them. There's only one really I'm interested in, and I'll show you which one that is. And that would be this map, which is the main field total intensity. But the reason why I'm interested in this is because I want to see how Canada, its pole, is progressing with the declining intensity. Obviously you can see that there is a decline of intensity over Canada comparing when you look at Siberia pole. The other thing I noticed, and I did point out in the video yesterday, is where they've put the dipole, or the magnetic south pole. And they didn't put the magnetic south pole in the high intensity region. That's because it's outside the high intensity region, because there is still field intensity over Canada, which is allowing the pole to reside somewhere in between the two poles at the moment. But like I said, Canadian's intensity is going to continue to weaken. There's something that I want to talk to a bit later on in this video with regards to the weather that's been received at the moment with the low hanging jet streams. You probably got it already. If you're looking at these magnetic field lines as they go across the earth, you'll see that the one of highest intensity is somewhere across Central America right now. So moving on from that, we'll get back to that, the weather. So what is my big issue here? Well, they've reissued the same chart in December's release, and they could be saying that there's no change in intensity, and that's, you know, very, very hard to believe. The other explanation is I really don't know. I don't know why they've done it. They've used January's data in the December release a couple of days ago. They haven't changed it, but significantly all the other maps are published in 2010. I just want to zoom in on this for you so you can see actually, you know, the actual data when it was published. I'm gonna have to stop it just a second, bear with me. So as you can see on the bottom right hand corner, it's got published January 2019. So that was the beginning of this year, and this has been re-released 2 days ago, no changes. But all the other data, like I'm about to show you, has the new December the 10th or December 2019 release date on it. So for some reason they've used the same total intensity map as what they did in January, and it's almost like they're trying to say there's no change, but I think there has been some change, and they're not revealing it clearly. And like I say, this is the same in the blacked out version of the map. So I've downloaded from the website a total of 80 maps, or 90 maps actually, 45 with the blackout, 45 with the without the one with the blackout, one without it, let's just say that. And they both have in the stock photos of the maps this one as the main in-field intensity. Let me show you. So this is the 90 maps. Obviously one set of 45 is the blacked out version, the other is not. But the highlighted file, or the main intensity chart that we want to look at, is both the same. So they're both showing 2019 in January, just to prove that all the other files are of December, which was 4 days ago. You know, I'll open up one of them, but they're all the same apart from just the one that we're interested in, funnily enough. So I'll just show you the date on this. Bear with me. So as you can see down in the bottom right hand corner, December 2019, and that's the same for every other photo. So for some reason they didn't want us to see what's changed in the total intensity, but I've pretty much got a good idea in any case, guys, and I'll just explain what that is. So what I believe is the case is over Canada, it's all but dissipated, and we could have had a severe shift in the position of the magnetic North Pole. One thing for sure is that we have definitely caught them out red-handed on trying to obscure the data. We're seeing this on a lot of things, but why would they do that? Well, you know, I've showed you many times temperature charts and magnetic high intensity charts over the northern hemisphere, and we've looked at the southern hemisphere, and I want to talk about something else at the bottom left hand side of this map as well. But you've seen when I've put them next to each other, they've pretty much formed the same shape. Now I'm just wondering whether the weather that America is experiencing with the low hanging jet streams that they've got is a result of the Canadian intensity decreasing a hell of a lot. And if that is the case, and they did show the true picture and resolution of the intensity, it would be probably obvious to, you know, most people, and could cause quite a concern obviously in Canada and the United States. And I think that that is highly likely, guys. If that is the case, and I do believe it is, then we are at the beginnings of some very serious events that are shortly to take place as a result of that. If the magnetic fields are changing and in turn altering the climates over the continents, then, you know, we're in a new field of alternatives, you know, that anything could take place. But you know, from what we're seeing at the moment with the low-hanging jet streams over the United States, it's obviously bringing those Arctic blasts. It could, if that's the case, if the magnetism over the region, or the high intensity of magnetism over the Canada is actually something that regulates the position of the jet streams, then we're about to start seeing, you know, big changes, and changes that are going to be long-lasting. So, you know, a big heads up there, guys. I think you need to be brought aware of, you know, the people that are presenting these maps, and you've got all the big names there: NOAA, the British Geological Survey, as well as a lot of other military departments that have been responsible for releasing the World Magnetic Model for us at this date. It was released 4 days ago, and you know, I've only just spent the morning quickly noticed that they're using the same main field total intensity map, which obviously is, as you can see, from January. So it's no mistake, they put it in 2 formats. They knew exactly what they was doing, but for some reason they don't want us to see the intensity of what is taking place on Earth. And you know what, guys, I mean, it should not come as a surprise to anyone. I've been telling people that you try and get level 2 clearance to see the swarm data that is partly making these maps in any case, but you try and get level 2 data from the European Space Agency and you just find a door slammed in your face. In other words, the general public aren't entitled to that. So there is something that they are definitely hiding with regarding the magnetic pole reversal, which is taking place right now as we speak. I'm not saying that it has crossed the weak field lines yet, guys, but you know, we are starting to see these big organisations, you know, deliberately do stupid things like this, like include a January 2019 in a release which is supposed to be, you know, the World Magnetic Model. And if they're telling me that none of these intensity bars have shifted in 11 months, then I will be laughing all the way to the circus, guys. This is just an elaborate cover-up which has not been done very well. So, you know, think about it. I'm just wondering, you know, what is actually they're in knowledge of. That's what I'm wondering. And is it that serious that the general public aren't entitled to it? The other thing I will say is there has been some changes, guys. First one is we've lost the intensity in the southern left-hand side of this chart. It is not even there anymore, and we're about to lose that Canadian intensity perhaps in the next 6 to 12 months. If that is on the cards, the magnetic pole is going to be on the move. So we might not have to wait 4 to 7 years. It could be sooner. What you've got to pay attention to is the fact that if you look over Siberia and that high intensity region and compare it with the South Pole, the actual Earth's magnetic dipole is not in the centre. It's actually outside of the epicenter of high intensity. That means that there is still some intensity over Canada, but as you can see, nowhere near as strong as what it is in Siberia. And when Canadian intensity depletes completely, the pole will go on and move from that position, and that's why at the moment it's not in the centre. So we've got some interesting times ahead, guys, and I think that's enough information for you guys for at least one day. I will just say that David did ask me to put the CO2 and take a reading on the floor. I know it was on the train he wanted me to do it, but I thought I'd do it at home as well. There was a slight deviation. It was, for some reason, showing more by about 10 parts per million at ceiling height than what it was at floor height. So, I thought I'd do that experiment for you. I will do it on the train as well over the next week or so. We'll take the CO2 monitor on there and we'll just see what the parts per million is on the train. The only other thing I want to say is, guys, in general terms, with regards to CO2, they're covering everything up. They're not telling the truth. They're milking the taxpayer for money. It's nothing short of, these organisations are just running amok, going unchecked. People need to be put behind bars for what they've done. They've created trillions of pounds out of something completely false. They've not talked about the real issues of what's taking place. And as they should have done, given the public a heads up of what to expect, even if they came out and just say it might not be the case, but there is an element of risk here in A, B and C, it wouldn't be so bad. They're treating us like children, guys. If it weren't for small observations done at these little observatories like ours, people would be in the dark with regards to all this information. So there is a link there if you want to support what we do. Obviously, we're bringing home the gold today with this information, and it is big news. They should be pulled out on it, and asked, why have you done this? In fact, you know what? If I can be bothered later on, I might even give the British Geological Survey a telephone call. We'll see. Okay, guys, you take care, and as always, bye for now.